You want something, Daddy?
I do, but I'm not going to.
Why?
I don't want any. I don't want a sandwich.
Okay. We can have a cheese sandwich and
bro,
place
cheese
there.
sandwich. You can get
I don't want any bread.
It's a quiet morning, and the news hits like a thunderbolt. Ozzy Osbourne, the godfather of heavy metal, is gone. Fans are reeling, hearts broken. But hold on, because Sharon Osbourne, his wife of over 4 decades, is about to drop 5 jaw-dropping truths about his death that will change how you see the Prince of Darkness forever. These aren't just rumors or gossip. They're revelations straight from the woman who knew him best. Buckle up, because this is going to be a wild, emotional ride you won't forget. Ozzy Osbourne wasn't just a rock star. He was a legend who reshaped music history. Born in Birmingham, England, he fronted Black Sabbath in the late 1960s, creating heavy metal with those dark, grinding riffs that still echo today. His solo career, with hits like Crazy Train, made him a household name. And let's not forget the Osbournes, the reality show that turned him into a lovable, quirky dad. When he passed away on July 22nd, 2025, at 76, the world stopped. Fans flooded social media with tributes, and bands like Metallica and Guns N' Roses mourned their hero. But behind the headlines, there's a story only Sharon can tell. A story of love, loss, and secrets that will leave you stunned. 4 years, we've watched Ozzy battle health issues. His Parkinson's diagnosis in 2019 was no secret, and fans saw him struggle, his body slowing down while his spirit stayed fierce. That final performance of the Back to the Beginning concert in Birmingham on July 5th, 2025, was nothing short of epic. Seated on a bat-adorned throne, Ozzy belted out classics like Iron Man to 40,000 screaming fans, with millions more watching online. It felt like a victory, a defiant middle finger to his illness. But just weeks later, he was gone. What happened in those final days? Why did the Prince of Darkness leave us so soon? Sharon Osbourne is finally breaking her silence, and her 5 shocking truths will answer questions we didn't even know to ask. Let's dive into the first bombshell. Shocking truth number 1. Ozzy reconciled with his Black Sabbath bandmate Bill Ward after years of bad blood. If you're a Sabbath fan, you know the story. Back in 2011, when the band planned a reunion, Bill Ward, their original drummer, walked away over contract disputes. Things got messy, public jabs, hurt feelings, and a friendship that seemed broken for good. Ozzy even said some harsh things, and Bill fired back, demanding an apology. For years, it looked like they'd never share a stage again. But Sharon reveals that before that final Birmingham show, Ozzy made a call. He and Bill talked for hours, laughing, crying, and burying the hatchet. Sharon says she saw them hug backstage, tears in their eyes, as they agreed to perform together one last time. That reunion wasn't just for the fans. It was for 2 old friends who wanted to end on love, not anger. It's a moment that made that concert unforgettable, a testament to Ozzy's heart. Now, here's shocking truth number 2. Ozzy was secretly working on a memoir that's set to drop next year. Sharon shares that for years, Ozzy was scribbling down his life story, from his rough childhood in Birmingham to the wild days of Black Sabbath and his solo fame. This isn't just a rock star tell-all. It's raw, honest, and packed with stories he never shared before. Think tales of backstage chaos, his battles with addiction, and quiet moments with his family. Sharon says Ozzy wanted this book to be his final gift to fans, a way to let them inside his head. She's overseeing its release, and it's already being called a must-read. Imagine reading Ozzy's own words about biting that bat or surviving decades of rock and roll madness. It's a legacy that'll keep his voice alive long after he's gone. Shocking truth number 3 hits even closer to home. Ozzy wrote personal letters to each of his children before he passed. Sharon opens up about how, in his final days, Ozzy knew time was short. He sat down and poured his heart into letters for Amy, Kelly, Jack, and his kids from his first marriage, Jessica, Louis, and Elliot. These weren't just notes. They were pages of love, regret, and wisdom. He told them how proud he was, shared advice for their futures, and asked forgiveness for times he wasn't there. Sharon says reading those letters to the kids after Ozzy's death was one of the hardest things she's ever done. The family sat together, tears flowing, as they felt his presence in every word. Those letters have become their anchor, helping them navigate the grief of losing their dad. It's a side of Ozzy we rarely saw, the devoted father behind the wild rock star. Sharon reveals that in the weeks leading up to his death, Ozzy was secretly working on something special, a final album. That's right. Even as his health was failing, Ozzy was in the studio, pouring his heart and soul into what he called his swan song. This album isn't just a collection of songs. It's a testament to his enduring spirit and his love for music. Sharon says that Ozzy wanted this album to be a gift to his fans, a way to say thank you for all the support over the years. And guess what? The album is set to be released later this year, and it's going to be absolutely mind-blowing. Sharon has already heard some of the tracks, and she says they're unlike anything Ozzy has done before, deeply personal, reflective, and full of emotion. There's even a song dedicated to Sharon, called My Sharona, but with a twist that only Ozzy could pull off. It's a love letter set to music, and it's going to leave fans in tears. Imagine hearing Ozzy's voice one last time, singing about his life, his love, and his legacy. It's a moment that'll hit you right in the heart. Let's talk about something that's been misunderstood for years. You know that infamous moment in 1982 when Ozzy bit the head off a bat during a concert? It's the stuff of rock legend. But here's the truth. It was a total accident. Ozzy thought it was a rubber bat thrown on stage by a fan, and in the heat of the moment, he just went for it. The crowd lost their minds, but Ozzy was horrified when he realized it was real. Sharon says he was rushed to the hospital for rabies shots right after the show, and he felt awful about it. But that moment became the cornerstone of his Prince of Darkness persona. It wasn't planned, but it defined him, his wild, unpredictable energy that made him a star. Sharon laughed when she recalls Ozzy joking about it years later, saying it was the best mistake he ever made. That one crazy act showed the world he was willing to push boundaries, and it's why we still talk about it today. There's another side to Ozzy that doesn't get enough spotlight, his big heart. Beyond the leather and the screams, Ozzy was a giver. Sharon shares that he and she poured their hearts into charity work, supporting causes close to their family. One of their biggest passions was the Cystic Fibrosis Trust, inspired by their daughter Amy's health struggles. They raised millions to help kids get better treatment. And get this, Ozzy had a soft spot for animals. After that bad incident, he felt so guilty that he quietly donated to bat conservation groups. He was also a patron of the Birmingham Dogs Home, often sneaking away to play with the pups or even adopting a few. Sharon says he'd come home covered in dog hair, grinning like a kid. These stories show a man who cared deeply, not just about music but about making a difference. It's a side of Ozzy that makes you love him even more. But hold on, because Sharon's got another secret up her sleeve, and it's a big one. She's hinted at something from Ozzy's early days with Black Sabbath that could flip everything we know about how the band came to be. It involves a falling out with someone who was there at the very start, someone whose name has been all but erased from the story. Was it a betrayal? A stolen idea that sparked their iconic sound? Sharon's keeping it hush-hush for now, but she promises it's a tale of drama and redemption that'll change how you see heavy metal's roots. You will have to stick around for part 3 to get the full scoop, because this one's going to shake you to your core. Let's shift gears to Ozzy's family, because they were his anchor. You might know them from the Osbournes, that wild reality show, but behind the cameras, Ozzy was a dad who showed up. Sharon says he had a unique bond with each of his kids. With Jack, it was fishing trips, just the two of them casting lines and swapping stories. With Kelly, he'd hit the shops, indulging her love for fashion while sneaking in life advice. And with Amy, it was all about music and art, deep talks that lit up his eyes. Even with his kids from his first marriage, Jessica, Louis, and Elliot, he made time, writing them letters and calling to check in. Sharon says those moments kept Ozzy grounded, reminding him who he was beyond the stage. It's a reminder that the Prince of Darkness was also just a dad, trying to do right by his family. And let's not forget the music that started it all. Black Sabbath's first album in 1970 didn't just launch a band, it birthed heavy metal. But here's something you might not know. That dark, heavy sound came straight from the streets of Birmingham. The city was gritty, full of factories and smoke, with kids like Ozzy growing up in tough times. Sharon says Ozzy always talked about how Birmingham's struggle shaped their music. Songs like War Pigs and Paranoid weren't just riffs. They were cries of a generation facing war and hardship. The band's early days, practicing in rundown warehouses, poured that raw energy into their sound. Ozzy once told Sharon that without Birmingham's grit, Black Sabbath would have been just another band. That city gave them their edge, and it's why their music still hits so hard today. Sharon's dropping the ultimate bombshell about Black Sabbath's beginnings. Back in 1968, when the band was just a bunch of scrappy kids jamming in Birmingham, there was a fifth member, a guitarist named Johnny Blaze. His name's been lost to time, and that's no accident. Johnny was there in those sweaty basements, riffing alongside Ozzy, Tony Iommi, Geezer Butler, and Bill Ward. His bluesy, soulful style gave their early sound a spark that made them stand out. But as they got ready to record their first album in 1970, things fell apart. Johnny wanted to keep their music raw and grounded, while the others were chasing a heavier, darker vibe that would become heavy metal. The clash turned ugly, shouting matches, broken guitars, the works. In the end, Johnny was pushed out, his contributions erased from the story. Sharon says Ozzy carried that guilt for years. He knew Johnny deserved credit for helping birth Black Sabbath's sound. In his final days, Ozzy urged Sharon to find Johnny, now in his 70s and living quietly in the Midlands. She's planning to honor him at a tribute concert next year, bringing him back into the spotlight. It's a story of betrayal and redemption, showing Ozzy's heart even as he faced his own end. Now, let's talk about how Ozzy lived, a life as big as his legend. At the time of his passing on July 22nd, 2025, Ozzy's net worth was a staggering $220 million, shared with Sharon, his partner in life and business. That fortune didn't just come from music, though selling over 100 million records with Black Sabbath and as a solo artist didn't hurt. Hits like Crazy Train and Paranoid kept the cash flowing. But Ozzy was a savvy businessman, too. He and Sharon created Ozfest in 1996, a heavy metal festival that became a cultural juggernaut, raking in over $170 million in its first decade. Then there was the Osbournes, the reality show that made their family global stars. It ran for 4 seasons, earning them millions. Reports say each family member pocketed about $5 million. Ozzy didn't stop there. He launched Osbourne Media, producing shows like Ozzy and Jack's World D2. He endorsed everything from video games to butter substitutes, and even had his own branded slots game. His face was a brand, and it sold like crazy. But wealth isn't just numbers, it's a lifestyle, and Ozzy lived like rock royalty. He and Sharon owned jaw-dropping properties. In Los Angeles, they had an 11,500 square foot mansion in Hancock Park, snapped up for $12 million and later listed for $18 million. Picture sprawling rooms, a pool, and views that scream Hollywood. They also own 2 condos in the Sierra Towers, a swanky LA building, worth over $6 million combined. Back in the UK, they had homes that brought them closer to their roots. When it came to cars, Ozzy's garage was a mix of grit and glamour. He loved his Daimler DS420, a British limousine that matched his larger-than-life vibe. His first car, a Triumph Herald, held a special place in his heart, a nod to his Birmingham days. And then there were the Harley-Davidson motorcycles, perfect for the rebel who loved the open road. To protect it all, Ozzy had top-tier insurance, life policies, property coverage, and likely special plans for his memorabilia, like signed guitars and stage costumes. He made sure his empire was secure. Ozzy's wealth wasn't just for show. He used it to make a difference. We mentioned his philanthropy before, but it's worth repeating. He and Sharon raised millions for the Cystic Fibrosis Trust, inspired by their daughter Amy's health challenges. Ozzy also supported animal charities, especially for dogs and, yes, even bats, after that infamous incident. His final concert, the Back to the Beginning show in Birmingham, raised $190 million for Parkinson's research, Birmingham Children's Hospital, and Acorns Children's Hospice. That's the kind of legacy that outlives you. So, what can we take from Ozzy's financial story? First, spread your bets. Ozzy didn't just rely on music. He built an empire with TV, festivals, and endorsements. Second, give generously. Wealth means more when it helps others, and Ozzy proved that. Third, plan for your family. His will ensure Sharon has a lifetime interest in his estate, with his 6 kids, Jessica, Louis, Elliot, Amy, Kelly, and Jack, sharing the rest. It's a blueprint for leaving a legacy that lasts. Here's the final twist, and it's a tearjerker. Sharon shared a video Ozzy recorded in his last days, a message straight to his fans. In it, his voice is weak but full of that raw, unmistakable fire. He says, "You've been with me through it all, the good, the bad, the crazy. Thank you for keeping my music alive. Keep rocking, and I'll be with you, always. Love, Ozzy. It's a gut punch, a final gift from the Prince of Darkness. Want to keep his spirit alive? Dive into our playlist of Ozzy's greatest hits, from Iron Man to No More Tays, and feel the magic of his music. Or grab his memoir, I Am Ozzy, for stories that'll make you laugh and cry. Better yet, support the causes he loved. Donate to the Cystic Fibrosis Trust or Parkinson's Research. Every bit counts. Ozzy lived loud, loved hard, and left a mark that'll never fade. So, crank up the volume, live boldly, and keep his music alive. From all of us, thank you for joining this unforgettable ride. Ozzy Osbourne wasn't just a rock star. He was a legend who showed us how to live with heart, grit, and a whole lot of soul.